Have you ever wondered how self-funded health plans protect you from catastrophic claims? And why some employers get blindsided when their coverage isn't structured in the right way? Today I'm going to be breaking down the difference between specific stop loss and aggregate stop loss in plain English. If you're level funded or self-funded, this is something everybody should know. I promise by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how each one works, what traps you should be avoiding, and how to tell if your plan is built to protect you. Here's the problem. Most CFOs and HR leaders step into self-funded health plans without truly understanding stop loss. Carriers and brokers will throw around terms like spec and ag or attachment point as if you should already know. But if you don't, you can't see where the risk really lives in your plan. And when that happens, you either end up overpaying for protection that you don't need, or worse yet, you end up taking on risk you never intended to. Let's start by breaking down specific stop loss, sometimes called spec. Think of this as protection for a single person on your plan. Let's say your spec deductible is $75,000. If one employee racks up $250,000 in medical bills, the stop loss carrier kicks in at $75,000 and pays everything over that. Here's the part you need to understand. Anything under that $75K comes out of your claims account. That's your responsibility as the employer. It's a lot like your car insurance deductible, but instead of a fender bender, you're protecting against things like cancer, premature births, or organ transplants. Now let's look at aggregate stop loss, also known as your attachment point or AG. Sometimes you'll hear underwriters call this your aggregate corridor. Instead of protecting a person, AG covers the entire group as a whole. Here's how it works. Let's say your projected claims for the year are about $1 million. Your aggregate protection usually kicks in at 125% of that projection. That's where we get the aggregate corridor. So if claims climb past 1.25 million, the stop loss carrier pays the excess. Unlike spec, which deals with catastrophic claim from one person, AG's there if your entire population runs worse than expected. So another way to think of this is spec is the outlier, AG is about the trend. Here's the simplest way to put this. Spec protects you from a train wreck on one track. AG protects you from all of the trains going off track. In practice, spec claims are fairly common. Most employers will eventually see one. AG breaches, on the other hand, they're more rare. To hit this, your whole plan has to run significantly worse than projected. Not just by one or two big claims, but think a series of mid-sized claims, or a workforce that's materially less healthy than expected. So think of it this way. Spec is the protection you're most likely to use, which is also why the premiums are higher. AG is just the backstop that's there, just in case. Now here are a few things every buyer should be watching out for. Look for spec deductibles that are set too high. 150K spec might look cheap on paper, but if you've only got 75 employees, that's a lot of risk to carry. Inflated claims projections. Aggregate coverage is built on your expected claims. If these projections are padded too high, your AG corridor is also inflated, which makes your AG protection nearly impossible to hit. In translation, you're paying for coverage that you'll never see. And your contract language matters. Not all stop loss contracts are created equal. Some carriers define things like run in, run out, spec advance, or aggregating features in ways that quietly shift more risk back to your plan. And that's why in the next stop loss videos in this series, we'll break down those terms one by one. Standard doesn't always mean standard. Brokers love to say this is a standard contract. The truth is there's no such thing. Each carrier writes its own definitions. This is why you should review every contract before you sign it. When you understand spec and AG, you stop being a passenger in your health plan. You know exactly where the risk lives, how much of it you're taking on, and whether your plan is designed to protect your balance sheet. That means no more blind spots at renewal. You can compare stop loss quotes apples to apples, and you can feel confident that your plan is structured to handle both one-off catastrophic claims and those rare but possible bad years. And this is just the foundation. In the rest of the Stop Loss 101 series, we'll dive into lasers and why they catch employers off guard, contract terms like 1215 or 2412 and how they affect claims, spec advance and AG accommodation, and why they can make or break your cash flow. Together, these are all part of our benefit cost containment blueprint, where we help CFOs and HR leaders manage stop loss like a pro. So that's the breakdown of spec versus AG stop loss, the two guardrails that protect your self-funded health plan. Remember, spec protects you from a catastrophic claim on one person, and AG's the safety net if your entire plan runs worse than expected. One's used more often, the other is rarely hit. Both matter when you're structuring your plan. If you're already self-funded or exploring it, now's the time to review your stop loss terms and contracts. Don't wait for renewal. Ask your broker or advisor to explain your spec deductible, your ag attachment point, and whether those numbers really fit into your risk tolerance. If you'd like help reviewing, that's exactly what we do inside of our benefit cost containment blueprint. I'm Rich with BeneSmart. Thanks for watching this first video in our Stop Loss 101 series. Be sure to catch the next one where we'll unpack contract lengths and why they can quietly shift massive amounts of risk back onto your company.